Yo, yo, yo. How's it going? So, coming on here to continue, the log of, starting the lawn care business. So, I just want to clarify before I start that this is not advice. I'm not here giving advice. I'm just simply documenting and recording what I'm doing. So I can look back. I can look back for nostalgic purposes and remember these times. You know, my daughter and whatnot, and she can remember when I'm gone. Anyhow, so I decided to start a lawn care business. So when I finally decided that that's what I was going to do, I was already watching the YouTube videos. So, and I already sort of, you know, you have an idea. I already have some stuff here at my house. I'm thinking, what are my options? My options are, how did you do it as a kid? Well, I would just go around with my push mower and knock on doors and ask if people want their grass cut. But, which that could work, but at the same time, or not in high school anymore, and in the area that I'm in, there's a lot of large yards. There's a lot of people who have these beautiful homes on these large lots. So, and on those large properties, I really just don't think that a push mower's gonna do it. You'll be there all day. So I had to go out and, research and look into the equipment. What's the equipment? Well, you start seeing, go on YouTube and check it out, and you'll see people with their setups. So what is a lawn care? What do you need for a lawn care business? You probably need a big mower, a push mower to get into the places where the riding mower can't get to. Then you also need a string trimmer and possibly an edger if you wanted to do, extra services other than just mowing and weed eating or string trimming. So, okay. So those are the options. First things first, the riding mower. It's the most fun. Which one are we gonna get? So I went around and checked out all of the power centers around town. There's a couple different dealers. You got your Toro dealer, and there's another dealer in town that does Cub Cadet and Ferris. Then there's another dealer in town. There's a John Deere dealer, also a Bobcat dealer. I know that there's more brands out there. The Skaggs, Wright, and Exmark. There's a bunch of other brands, but I couldn't find any of those. So I decided to go with the Toro. But we're getting a little bit off track. I'll do an equipment. I'll do a separate video for the equipment. What I wanted to talk about was how the money played out. Because I only had about $10,000 to start. And a lot of things needed to be done. And when it comes down to brass, when you spend $10,000, you realize $10,000 is not that much money. Isn't that much to spend. So I want to get a piece of paper here so that I can we can write down the math. So, $10,000. How was I going to stretch this money? Because my goal at the end of spending the money, my goal was to be able to professionally conduct, to basically sell the product, which is the lawn care service. So at the end of this $10,000 that I spent, at the end of spending it, I had to make sure that I would be able to market to the customer, reach the customer, get in contact with the customer, meet the customer for a sales pitch / sales call, sell them on the job, then complete the work of mowing, and then also be able to collect the money. All of these things need to be able to happen in order for me to complete a transaction of selling a customer or a client lawn care services and them paying me to cut their grass or landscape their yard. So what does that mean? That means that, or what am I going to need for this? So just in order to conduct business, we're going to need the LLC, because we don't want to be held responsible. That's the whole point of having a company, is because we want to grow our wealth and we want to protect our wealth from any type of exposure or risk, and we do that using the LLC. After the LLC comes what? Comes insurance. And you need insurance right off the bat, because I wanted insurance right off the bat because I know from my job, wealthy people with these mansions, I want to be able to work for wealthy people who have these big giant mansions and are willing to pay a lot of money. Okay, and in order to do that, you have to be insured, because those type of people, the people that have put that the people that are spending money at that level want their property protected, and they want to make sure that they're dealing with somebody who's legitimate and who, if there's an accident, that they're professional enough to take care of it. Because at the end of the day, when you damage their property, what might seem like a lot of money to you, say you break their window and it's $5,000 and you don't have $5,000 to pay for it, so you're panicking about the money. Well, to them, $5,000 is pocket change, and they don't care. They have the money to pay it. They just want to see if you, as a professional, will be able to stand behind your work and basically carry your own weight. You know, if you break it, you bought it type of thing. Can you abide by that? So, insurance right off the bat. Right off the bat. So after the LLC and insurance, now it's legal to conduct business. The LLC, I went through LegalZoom, $130. Insurance, I found through a local company in Wisconsin. It ended up being $81, but I did not get insurance at that point. I did get the LLC right off the bat. I got the LLC to make it official. Then next, after the LLC, once that went through, then I needed, what else? Okay, so then I went the equipment route. I needed a truck. I needed a truck and a trailer. That was the situation. The truck and the trailer. That was the beginning of it all. Because I can't do it in my van. I'm not about to drag my push mower around the neighborhood. Sorry, guys. No shade to those who do that. I had saved up $10,000. And I got my credit right. So I didn't need to do that at the time. So I went on Facebook Marketplace. Found a F-250, like a 2004 F-250, for $3,500. $3,500 bucks. Plus, it needed, once I got the truck, It also needed a repair, which is going to be happening very soon here, and we'll call it $1,050 for the repair. That's all in cash that I had to pay. So we're at $4,550 spent cash. Next, I had to go register the truck. Now, registering the truck is, you have to pay the taxes. You have to pay the tax when you go to register at the DMV. So that was another $500 for registration on the truck. And we're up at $5,000 right now. 5,000. I got 5,000 left. Hang on just a second. My whatchamacallit. My phone's about to die. 1 second. All right, so after I got the truck, now I have to figure out a trailer, okay? Now, the trailer situation, you have two options, depending on where you live. I'm guessing that if you're starting this, you know, more of us don't have a giant house with a bunch of our own personal storage that we can store all our lawn equipment after doing this with a trailer. So I had two options because I don't have a garage that's big enough. I can either buy an enclosed trailer and lock up all my stuff and keep it here by my house, or the other option, I can get an open trailer and also pay for a storage unit to park my stuff every day. Well, I ended up choosing an enclosed trailer, which ended up costing me, it was $8,000 plus I financed it. So I financed it for a little over $10,000. My interest rate was right around 8%, and it came out to, what is it? $283 per month. $283 per month. I put zero down on the trailer. $283 per month. This becomes what? This becomes a fixed expense, which we call overhead expenses. So there's my first overhead expense of $283. I am now obligated at this point, once I sign on that dotted line, I am now obligated to find a way to pay for this thing every month. So, but lucky for me, I had just quit smoking, and so honestly, I spent more on cigarettes every month than $283. So I hadn't yet increased my lifestyle payments, okay? I had not yet increased my lifestyle. So, a trailer becomes $283 in overhead per month. Okay, so now we have the truck and the trailer situation. Also, when you buy a trailer brand new, tax tag and title are included in the financing, are included in the loan. So all you do is you go to the DMV and you pay probably $180 to get it registered. Okay, so that puts us at 16. That puts us at $463. So we're at $5,463 so far. $5,463 spent But we've now obtained a $10,000 trailer, and we also have a truck as well as the LLC. So we're almost there. Now, what comes next? Now, I have a Milwaukee battery powered string trimmer and blower already at home. So those two things I can use. I know it's battery powered, say what you will, but Milwaukee's a beast. Milwaukee's a beast, and I can make do because I also have a rake. And not every yard needs that giant $650 freaking Echo backpack blower that will, blast a hurricane out of it. Not every yard needs that. Okay, so what else do I need? I still need, because you got to think about, so when you're thinking about equipment, you got to think about what your target client, what type of yard your target client is going to have. How big is the yard? So my target client's yard was somewhere in between, let's say, between a 1/4 acre and 3/4 of an acre. That would be my target client, right? Maybe 1/4 acre to 1/2 acre. That would be my worth of mowing. That would be right around 10 to 15,000 square feet worth of grass. That was my target demographic. And so for those type of lawns, I would need a 0-turn lawnmower. And also I would need a push mower that could get into the yards, into the spots where the 0-turn mower could not get. And that's pretty much it. So I went and I started checking around at all the different dealers, and what I had learned was that there's a difference between the motor on a commercial grade mower versus a residential grade mower. And the difference is that the commercial grade is designed to run for extended periods of time, 8 hours, 6, 8 hours, 10 hours maybe in a day, where the residential mowers might only be designed to run for a couple hours every couple weeks or something, 1, 2, maybe 3 hours a week. So you want to get a commercial grade mower. So after basically interviewing all of the salespeople and all of the dealers, because I wanted to figure out who had a good service department, who had good prices, who do I get along with, I ended up settling on the Toro dealership. And what I did was I settled on it because their financing was the best. Because I was going to finance all the stuff. I was going to finance all the mowers. And because I didn't have enough, I had already spent $5,500. And I only had, $4,500 left. And I still need to get a logo. I still need to get marketing materials. I still need to get customers. How the fuck am I going to get customers, That's still out there. We're still just on the setup. So, I went to the Ace Hardware because their Toro financing got me approved for up to $15,000. So I made a purchase that was basically, I got the 190cc self-propelled push mower by Toro, and then I also got a Toro time cutter with a 42-inch stamp deck for $3,500. So it ended up being plus the tune-up packages. So I ended up financing $6,500 over a 4-year period with no interest if you make all your payments on time. If you make the suggested payment on time, there's no interest. So basically, and I put zero down, and you put zero down. So this is the key. Put zero down. This is strategic creative financing. Strategic financing. I spent $5,500, $5,500, and what I got was $10,000 trailer, $6,500 worth of mowing equipment, a truck, and an LLC. All of that. I got all of that and spent a total of $5,463. But the mowers, good question. What was the monthly price? Well, figure it out. Divide $6,500 by 48 months. Something like $150 a month. So 280 plus, we'll call it 150, 3, 13, 1, 2, 3. So overhead has now become $433 per month. $433 per month for the overhead. And remember, keep in mind, for me, keep in mind that my cigarette habit that I just dropped was $330 per month. So this was a significant, once I got the mowers, that was a more significant buy because I had that was the point where I had increased my lifestyle payments now. The total overhead cost now became $433, which is now $100 more per month than my cigarettes. So, but I was still not ready to conduct transactions yet. I still needed, now that I have my equipment, what's next? Now that I have my equipment, I need to be able to reach the customer. How am I going to reach the customer? So I ordered door hangers. Vistaprint, $100 for 500 door hangers. Another $100 added. We're at $5,563 in startup added in startup cost. 5563. Okay, so now that I got my door hangers, I also made a Nextdoor account. Also made a Nextdoor Neighbor app. I made an account on there, so I started advertising on there. So, but I'm still not finished. The door hangers, now that I had to wait to market to the customers, there's still one more piece of the pie. How am I going to accept payment from the customers? What if somebody, well, from there, if I were to accept, how does this happen? So let's think about it. What's the goal? The goal is I want to accept payment from customers. Let's break it down. What are the different ways that customers pay? They pay with a check, they pay with cash, they pay with card, they pay with wire the money. Okay, so what do all of those things have in common? Well, they all get ran through an account, a bank account. So first thing I needed to do was, go open a business bank account, which that's why we need the LLC. And we also, right after we got the LLC, we got our EIN, okay, our employer ID number, and you get that from the IRS website for free within 5 minutes. So we go to open up the bank account, which this is way out of order because I had already, opening the bank account was the first thing I did. So the bank account. Now, the bank account, we have to think about this. So the bank account works for a check, you can just deposit, no problem. Cash, you can just deposit, no problem, or keep it if you want. And card, that's an interesting one. What if they only want to pay with what if they don't have cash or check? You want to be able to accept as many different forms of payment as possible. You want to, as a business, you want to make it, you want the easiest possible thing that the customer has to do is paying you. You want paying you to be the most easy, seamless thing, as easy and seamless a process as it could possibly be. There's enough problems with the whole transaction. Let's make the flow of the money easy. So we need to get a card reader. And while I was opening the bank account, we were just lucky enough that the bank teller offered me a card reader. Now, it turns out there might be some fees associated with it that make it not worth it. I'll have an update on that later. But now we have basically completed our whole transaction. Okay, we have the LLC and we have our insurance. Okay, we have the truck, the trailer, and the equipment. And then we also have the bank account so that the customer can pay us at the end. And also we had gotten the marketing materials to get customers in the first place. So, bing, that was the list of all the things that needed to be done. Once I had gotten all that stuff, then I went to go start handing out door hangers, and I ended up getting a few customers. And we do have a little bit of revenue now, but yeah, so document there. Check off the to-do list. That is the summary of all the things that I did to launch the business to begin with. If you watch till the end, appreciate your time, and I will, I don't know, drop another one later. All right.